shirt with its military-style epaulets and the tilt of the uniform cap over the eyes. He paused a yard or two away, the staff in his right hand moving menacingly. "And what in the hell do you think you're on, Hoffer?" he demanded harshly. "A Sunday school outing?" Hoffer turned, glanced at him casually, and without speaking spat on his palms, swung the hammer high, and brought it down squarely on the head of the crowbar, splitting the block of slate in two with an insolent grace. "All right, Paddy," he said to the Irishman. "Let's have another." For all the notice he had taken of him, Parker might not have existed. For a moment the prison officer stood there, his face white, and then he turned suddenly and walked away. "You want to watch it, Ben," O'Brien said. "He'll have you, that one. If it takes all year, he'll have you." "That's what I'm counting on," Hoffer said, and ignoring the expression of shocked amazement that appeared on the Irishman's face, he swung the hammer high above his head and brought it down again with unerring aim. Hagen, the principal officer, stood by one of the Land Rovers at the top of the dirt road that led into the quarry and smoked a cigarette. A black-and-tan Alsatian crouched at his feet. He was a tall, heavily built man, nearing retirement, and a 30-year sentence spent at various of Her Majesty's prisons had failed to erase an expression of natural kindliness from the pleasant bronzed face. He watched Parker approach, aware from the set of the man's shoulders that something was wrong, and sighed heavily. Amazing how difficult some people made it for themselves. "What's wrong now?" he said as Parker joined him. "Hoffer." Parker slapped his staff hard against the palm of his left hand. "He really needles me, that one." "What did he do?" "Dumb insolence, we'd have called it in the Guards." "That's an army charge. It won't wash here," Hagen pointed out. "I know that only too damned well." Parker leaned against the bonnet of the Land Rover, a muscle twitching in his right cheek. "It doesn't help matters when every con in the place treats him like Lord God Almighty." "He's a big man in their book." "Not in mine, he isn't. Just another cheap crook." "Hardly that." Hagen laughed gently. 900,000 quid is quite a bundle by anyone's standards, and not a sou of it recovered. Remember that. "And what did it buy him?" Parker demanded. 5 years behind bars and another 15 to go. That really must have taken genius." "Poor old Ben." Hagen grinned. "He put too much trust in a woman. A lot of good men have made that mistake before him." Parker exploded angrily. "Now you're sticking up for him, for God's sake!" The smile was wiped from Hagen's face, as if by an invisible hand, and when he replied, there was steel in his voice. "Not exactly, but I do try to understand him, which is a major part of my job. Yours too, though that fact seems to have escaped your notice so far." Before the younger man could reply, he glanced at his watch and added, 3 o'clock. We'll have them in for tea, if you please, Mr. Parker." He turned and walked a few paces away, the Alsatian at his heels, and Parker stood there glaring after him. After a moment or two, he seemed to gain some sort of control, took his whistle from his pocket and blew a shrill blast. Below in the quarry, Hoffer dropped his hammer and O'Brien straightened. "Not before time," he said, and picked up his shirt. From all parts of the quarry, prisoners converged on the track and climbed towards the Land Rovers where Parker was waiting to dispense tea from an urn which stood in the back of one of the vehicles. Each man picked up a mug from a pile at one side and moved past him, and Hagen and half a dozen other officers stood in a group lighting cigarettes. Hoffer took his tea, ignoring Parker completely, gazing towards the horizon where a couple of helicopters had swung into view. He moved to join O'Brien, who was watching them intently. "Now, wouldn't it be the grand thing if they'd drop in kind of unexpected-like and whisk us away?" the Irishman observed. Hoffer watched the helicopters drift across the distant hills and shook his head. "Not a chance, Paddy. They're Army Air Corps, Augusta Bell Scout Copter."